Playing a character and knowing the mechanics on how to play In Vaesen is super important if you want your game to go as smoothly as possible. Let's start off by going over the most basic of functions in Vaesen, dice pools. In Vaesen, you'll only ever have to roll d6s, and any number of dice that land on a 6 are considered a success. Normally, any test made during the game only requires a single 6 to show during the roll to be considered successful. But on rare occasions, the GM may require you to roll multiple successes on the test in order to pass. This kind of determines the difficulty of the obstacle you're attempting to overcome. If you manage to not roll any or not enough 6s during your test, it'll be considered a failed test. If you fail a test, or you believe that the test requires multiple 6s in order to succeed, you can always choose to push the roll. This means that you can re-roll the dice pool you just rolled in order to re-attempt the test. Keep in mind that any 6s you've already rolled won't be re-rolled during the push. You get to keep those. Now be careful, as whether or not you succeed or fail on your pushed roll, you'll always end up taking a condition no matter what the result. More on what a condition is here in just a moment. Well, what is a test, you ask? Tests are used anytime a player wants to perform an action that has the possibility of failure. Your pool of dice is determined by combining a skill value with its corresponding attribute value. Here's a list of how they're connected, but not to worry though, as Alchemy gathers the dice needed to make a test automatically for you. You can make any skill or attribute test you need by left-clicking the skill or attribute and then clicking Test in the middle of the screen, or by right-clicking them and clicking Test on the dropdown. You can also use an item to assist in specific skill tests by simply going to your Actions tab and using your item to make the test in place of your skill. How do you keep track of your character's health? Well, in Vaesen, there isn't an HP or a health pool system like in other games. Instead, you have two states of conditions. You have your physical and your mental conditions, each of which has a total of 3. For each condition taken, you'll need to roll 1 less dice in the pools that incorporate those attributes until that condition is healed in some way. For example, if you have 2 physical conditions, you would subtract 2 dice from any skill test using either your physique or precision. Or let's say you push a roll and you receive a single mental condition. You would then subtract 1 dice from any logic or empathy test you make. When pushing a roll, you don't take a condition until after the push has occurred. Now that all seems like a lot, but no worries, as Alchemy makes all of this as simple as a couple clicks without having to remember to add or subtract dice. By clicking on the central tracker bars attached to your character's portrait in the middle of your screen, you can instantly add or subtract the number of conditions your character has incurred. By doing this, Alchemy automatically calculates your new dice pool, and any tests you make will correlate with your conditions taken. 2 other ways you can take conditions outside of combat or immediate danger are falling or being overly hungry, tired, or thirsty. When you fall 3 meters or more onto a hard surface, the GM rolls an attack against you, and for each success, you gain a physical condition. The number of dice rolled against you equals the number of meters fallen minus 2. And then there's hungry, tired, and thirsty. If you don't eat, drink, or rest enough to the GM's liking, they may ask you to make a force test. Failing this will score you either a single mental or physical condition. Now, if you end up taking a 4th condition for any reason in either your mental or physical stat, you are considered broken and must immediately roll on the critical injuries table. Doing so will land you with a defect or an insight, which will either subtract or add to a specific skill test until the end of the mystery. Once you become broken, you're no longer able to act using your character until you are healed of the broken condition. When rolling on the critical injuries table, there's a chance that you'll sustain a fatal or chronic condition. If that's not healed or handled before the next given time limit passes, your character will die or remain mentally broken forever. At that point, it's time to toss out your character and create a new one. And one last thing here, if you end up taking conditions again while you're broken, you just continue rolling on the critical injuries table. There are several ways you can heal conditions in Vaesen. The quickest and most reliable way is to use your memento. Your memento can be used once per session to immediately recover 2 conditions by interacting with it anytime the GM allows. Other ways to heal either the broken status or other conditions can be found here on this chart for easy reference. Note that not many conditions can be healed on the spot, so running away to fight another day is quite the valid strategy in Vaesen. You'll see under Services and Establishments that you must use resources in order to partake in these events. Let me explain resources quickly to better understand how money is used in Vaesen. Your resource value directly represents how many dice you need to roll at the start of a mystery in order to determine how much you can spend when shopping around for either items or services. Each success on the dice represents 1 point to spend. The second value you'll need to know is your character's capital, or the amount of points they're automatically allotted without having to roll. The higher your character's living standards, the more capital they'll have. Adding these two numbers together gives you the total amount of points you have to make purchases during the mystery. This total number resets at the start of each mystery, and your resources must be rolled again. If you run into a reluctant to trade NPC during the mystery, you'll need to roll a contested manipulation test in order to be able to buy from them. You must add or subtract a specific number of dice to the roll depending on your living standard. A number of successes greater than or equal to the purchase's availability level is necessary to even purchase it. Every purchase in the game has a value assigned to it called availability. This is essentially the cost of the item or service, and you'll use your pool of points you calculated to determine if you can afford it. Now that you understand how money works, Alchemy makes it all that much easier. Just simply add the resource and barter roll actions into your character sheet. Click resource when you're ready to start your mystery and go shopping, or barter if you run into an NPC reluctant to part with their item. If you don't spend all your money, you can always create a quick tracker to access it at any time during the mystery. Well, that's it for this tutorial, but check out our other videos on Vaesen where I go more into the game's lore or show you how resolving scenes and even combat is handled. If you like these videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button and leave a comment below about what TTRPG system you'd like to see me tackle next. Anyways, thank you so much for watching everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.